What is going on, beautiful people? I'm Lee Hammock, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as mental illness, and welcome to another episode of Self-Aware Narcissist Sundays. This series where I'm talking to the narcissist, inside the mind of a narcissist, talking about my therapy journey, how I got to this point in my life where I am right now. Today's episode is going to be about how most of the work that I do on myself as a self-aware narcissist happens outside of the therapist's office. So if you're here already, y'all, make sure you subscribe to my newsletter. I wrote a book, kids book. Me and my wife teamed up together to write a kids book to help kids deal with toxic narcissistic households or, coming from lack and things like that. It's called Remember, It's Not Your Fault. Subscribe to the newsletter for more information. Coming up here pretty soon, y'all. But yeah. So yes, if y'all know, like I said, if you're new here, if you're not new here, I've been in psychotherapy dealing with narcissistic personality disorder since 2017. It is coming up on my absolute 6-year anniversary. Cause I started in October of 2017. So we right in that 6-year sweet spot. I've been in psychotherapy. A lot of people ask me, how often do I go to therapy? I go to therapy once. I go to therapy once a week. I mean, not once a week, once a month. I go to therapy once a month, and whatnot. So once a month for 6 years is not, if you look at it, y'all, it seems 6 years seems like a lot of time. But if I go once a month for 6 years, so 6 years is 6 years, 12 months in a year. So there's 72 therapy sessions. So I probably had more than that because every once in a while I go twice a month. So I'm probably around 80 therapy sessions, right? So 80 therapy sessions in the last 6 years. It doesn't seem like that much because a lot of people, one of my friends, Ben Taylor, another self-aware narcissist, he goes once a week. So he's going 50 times a year. So 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 6 years, he's had 300 therapy sessions, So for me, I have to do a lot of work outside of therapy. Even Ben does this as well. Ben knows this as well. Like, you can go to therapy as much as you want to, but if you're going to therapy and not applying the stuff that you learn in therapy, then you're kind of wasting your time at therapy. You see what I'm saying? If you go to therapy and you're not actively you can go to therapy, talk out your issues, say what's on your mind, and do all the other good stuff. But if you're not going in there and putting it in the action, like if you're not leaving therapy with a new perspective and actively putting in the stuff that you learn, then what good does that do? You know what I mean? What good does it do? It ends up being just a vent session. You go in there, vent, and you still are the same person leaving that you leave the same person as you walked in. You leave the same person that you walked into that therapist's office as. So that's why, like I said, a lot of the stuff that I do is outside of therapy because I'm going once a month. You know what I mean? So I said 80 therapy sessions, an hour long. So I spent 80 hours in therapy. There's 24 hours in a day. So that's what, 3 days and some change of therapy. 3 days worth of therapy right there. I could have said, 3 days, it's like a weekend, that's like a 3-day vacation. You know what I mean? That's leaving Friday morning to come back Monday morning right there. Pretty much for therapy. So a lot of the stuff I have to do, y'all, is outside of therapy. I go to therapy. I listen. I talk. I communicate with my therapist very well. And then outside of therapy, the stuff that I actually learn, the stuff that I'm actually doing, I'm working on. You know what I mean? My wife is messing me out. Get one. It just gets into that space right there. But like, I'm actively if we're talking about listening and communicating with my wife better, I go when I get the opportunity comes to talk to my wife, I listen to her. I communicate with her. I'm putting in that work right there. I just don't go to therapy, talk about communicate with my wife, and then when the opportunity presents itself, just talk how we normally talk. No, that doesn't help out any, y'all. How does that help any? How does that help out any? How does that satisfy anything in that space right there? How does that work how does that help me work anything out right there in that situation? You know what I mean? How? Think about it from that perspective right there. How? How does that work anything out? So that's why I tell so many people just in these spaces and in this dynamic that you have to put in the work outside of therapy. You go to therapy talking about empathy. Do things that help you work on your empathy. Do things that help you work on caring about other outside of yourself. Well, Lee, how do you work on empathy? I don't know if you can work on emotional empathy, but I've tried to. I've tried to work on emotional empathy. I watch a whole bunch of like I try to watch sad movies. Like if I catch a video on TikTok or YouTube that evokes some emotions, I watch it over and over again. Like there's this one video, right? Of this woman, she was getting a haircut. I saw it on Twitter. She was getting a haircut, like because she had cancer. She was just cutting off her hair to prepare for chemotherapy, and she started crying she started crying in the chair because like she was getting she was cutting her hair off bald, and the guy was cutting her hair. She was crying because she had to cut her hair off, and then the barber just cut his hair. Hey, you're not alone in this. He started cutting his hair off, you know. And then another barber was like, hey, hit me too. He started cutting his own hair off. So like 3 or 4 people, just random people in the shop, they started coming cutting their hair off bald, and she started crying, and she was she was so thankful. She's like, you don't have to do that. And she felt like she wasn't by herself. So I watched that video like 20 times, y'all, just to evoke that empathy. Right? I saved it to my Twitter. You know, I saved it in my bookmarks in my Twitter so I can go back and watch it. I like watching videos like that. I like watching things like that, situations like that transpire, because it helps me evoke some compassion and some empathy outside of myself. You know, it helps me be more sympathetic to other people's causes and things like that. It helps me, you know, communicate my feelings better. I showed up, sent that video to my wife. I talked to her about it. You know, I'm trying to be more open and honest and communicate better. Like one of the things that we work on is not repressing our emotions, you know, even the good ones. Even a lot of narcissists will even repress even the good stuff that's going on in their lives because they don't want, like, it's crazy how this sounds. A lot of narcissists like being the center of attention, right? But they don't like when the attention's all on them. I want to be the center of attention. It's kind of like I want to be the sun in this universe, and I want everybody else orbiting around me. But just go about your life. You're your own planet. Just keep orbiting around me. Know that I'm here. Know that I'm supplying this. You know, but I'm the sun. I'm not. It's like, you know, I'm here. Like I go away at night. I'm the sun. I go away at night, right? You got the moon there, but the moon is lit up because of the sun. You see what I'm saying? The moon is reflecting the sunlight. That's why it's still bright. So I'm still here, but I'm not here. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these situations right there. Like you have to be outside of yourself. You have to think outside of yourself. You have to actively put the work in to be more empathetic. To write down, if you are seeing a therapist right now, write down, even if you're not seeing a therapist right now, write down. Or if you have a partner or a friend that you're trying to get better with, that you're trying to work on with, you know, ask them. And you have to, and this is part of the work right here, y'all. Ask them, what's the things that you can work on? Hey, as my wife, as my boyfriend, as my husband, whatever, as my sister, as my brother, as my parent, as my son, what do you think I need to work on the most? You know, ask them, because we are the worst judges of ourselves. So ask somebody else. And this is the thing right here. You can't take it personally. I can say that, but you have to put the work in to not take this personally. This is constructive criticism to help. You want to get better? You have to be able to take constructive criticism. Think about it from that perspective right there. Ask somebody what you need to work on and allow them the space to speak. And then, okay, don't argue back. Yo, just listen. This is the point right here where you just listen. Don't try to explain why you don't need to work on this or why you do what you do. Actually listen to the person, take it in, and see if there's something you can work on. Don't get mad. I mean, it's easy to tell me, don't get mad at the person for saying this or voicing their opinion. It's easy for me to say this, but I know it's hard as hell to do, right? I know it's very, very difficult to have somebody point out your faults, because no narcissist wants the faults to be pointed out, right? It's hard. It's very difficult to have someone point out your faults. So in this situation right here, ask them and still be cool with them. Still be friends with them. Know that you have faults. Don't attack them. Don't point out their faults. Don't say anything bad about them. This is the space right here where healing and growth happen right here. Healing and growth happen when it hurts a little bit. You mean when you're under a little bit of strain, that's where healing and growth come from. That's why, like, when you're working out, if you're exercising, when you're doing bicep curls or bench presses or squats or whatever you're doing, you're tearing your muscle fibers. And when your body repairs the muscle fibers, that helps them grow. That's where the muscles come from. Like, you're not going to tear me again as easily. So I'm building up muscle fiber. So this is right here. This is building up mental muscle fiber right here. You know, allowing somebody else to tear your emotional muscle fiber, your emotional or mental muscle fiber. Allow them to tear it a little bit. And now you build up muscle over it by understanding, okay, they said I need to work on my empathy. So how do I do that? I need to find ways to be more compassionate. I need to start giving more. I need to start trying to care more. I need to start trying to put myself in other people's shoes. I need to meditate more. I need to do stuff like that. It's like, so what I do for empathy, like I say, I watch sad videos. If I catch a sad video, I'll watch it all the way through. Cause there used to be the stuff that I would scroll through, y'all. I would scroll through stuff like that. And in order to just avoid the uncomfortable feelings, cause I used to watch a super empathetic video, and to avoid uncomfortable feelings, I would do that. That's what would happen right there in that space. But that happens all the time. So that's what I'm just saying. If you're dealing with a narcissistic person, well, if you are a narcissistic person that's struggling with your empathy, put yourselves in situations where empathy is required. You know what I mean? You can Google. I'm gonna Google this right here while I'm right here. I'm gonna Google this while I'm on here with y'all. Where is empathy required? Let me see. Situations where empathy is required. I'll put this down. Other examples of empathy include understanding someone else's point of view during an argument, feeling guilty when you realize why someone might have misunderstood what you said, or realizing something you said was a faux pas. These scenarios require you to take someone else's viewpoint. So put yourself in situations where you have to require somebody else's viewpoint, y'all. Situations that require empathy. Google that. It's your homework for today. That's what you put in the work in today. Situations that where empathy is required, and go through there. 50 empathy. One of them says 50 empathy examples. You know what I mean? So go through that right there. Number 4 is feeling happiness for someone else's happiness. Feeling sadness for someone else's sadness. Number 2, imagining yourself in someone else's situation. Sensing someone else's emotions. So right there, that's your homework right there, y'all. Anyways, y'all, if y'all like this series, make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment, like, and subscribe, and whatnot. I take suggestions for other stuff as well, y'all. Anyways, y'all, like and subscribe for more. And as always, mental illness is out. Peace. Thank you so much for making it to the end of my video, y'all. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any uploads. Turn on that notification bell as well. Thank you so much. See you later.